Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Divers Ready. My name's James. It is so great to see all of your smiling faces, and welcome to the next in our mini series of quick tips videos focused on the Scuba Regulator. We've covered the first stage, we've covered the hoses, now we move down to the second stage. So this video is going to cover the basic glossary of terms for all the different parts of a second stage Scuba Regulator. If you haven't done so already, make your next dive on our little red subscribe button down there. It really helps us out to keep making these videos. I'm going to head over to the workbench where I've got some second stages to show you, and we'll talk about them. What I have here is perhaps the most basic second stage. Doesn't have any of the bells and whistles that we're going to talk about in the next quick tips video in this series, where we look at the additional features of the second stage. But this is just a really good example of a basic entry-level, super simple second stage that we can talk about the basic parts, the functions of the second stage, and then look at some potential problems and what the cures are for them. So let's go through the basic parts then. First off, you're going to have your air supply coming in attached to this side of the regulator. Some regulators are reversible in the idea that you want to have a hose coming in from this side, from the left, from the right, and so on. This isn't the case with this one. This is pretty much set up for right side traditional only. You've got the mouthpiece, obviously, bike tab there, secured by a cable tie or zip tie as they call them over here, and then you have your purge button on the front. And then if we take the purge button cover off, which just unscrews, inside then you can see the purge button. If we take that off, you can see the demand diaphragm here. You have two diaphragms in a second stage regulator, the demand diaphragm here, and then you also have the exhaust diaphragm, which if I take the exhaust cover off, right there. So when you breathe out, that little simple diaphragm there opens and allows your exhalation to go out through the vents. Then if I take this retaining ring out and the actual diaphragm itself, you can see the demand lever and the actual assembly, the barrel and chamber of the demand valve. The second stage's job is to reduce that intermediary pressure we talked about in our first stage basics video and reduce it to ambient pressure. So it's a regulator of itself that's reducing pressure. The IP coming in from the first stage output is being reduced down to ambient pressure. What's ambient pressure? Well, it depends what depth you're diving at. So why is that important? You need to be breathing at ambient pressure when you're diving, because if the pressure inside the regulator is greater than the ambient pressure, your regulator is going to free flow and you're going to waste a lot of gas. If the internal pressure in your second stage regulator is lower than ambient pressure, it's going to be harder to breathe, like breathing through a little sippy cocktail straw. That's not a good thing. So we need to be able to match ambient pressure. How do we achieve that? Well, we have the IP supply coming in. Inside this assembly here, you have a poppet and an orifice and a pressure seat, and then you have this demand lever here. As you inhale, pressure in the second stage behind this diaphragm decreases because you're sucking the air out of it, and that causes this diaphragm to flex with the pressure of the ambient water, which is filling the outside of this chamber, the outside of this diaphragm, and causes the diaphragm to press on that demand lever there. That demand lever there then applies pressure to a bias spring, which is in the orifice assembly here, which opens the valve, pushes the little poppet back with the high pressure seat, and allows air to flow into that chamber. Now that air is going to continue to flow until the pressure is equal to ambient pressure, hence breathing at ambient pressure. When the diver stops inhaling, pressure inside this second stage, basically there's no more gas coming out of the mouthpiece, you've stopped inhaling, is going to fill that chamber and push the diaphragm back. The lever is going to relax back into its resting position, which is going to relax the bias spring, which is going to drop the seat back over the orifice and prevent gas from free flowing through. Let's talk about potential problems with second stages. Number one, most obvious one that people always focus on boats and so on, is a free flow. Right? A free flow is when the regulator is just pushing gas out like crazy. It makes a loud noise. Everyone on the boat looks at you. Very simple solution to that is to put your thumb over the mouthpiece to provide pressure, which is going to allow that chamber to equalize it back up again. Now, what caused the free flow? 9 times out of 10, the problem is actually with the first stage putting out too high of an IP. in which case you probably need to get your regulator serviced and get the IP checked. If the IP coming into the second stage regulator is higher than the torsion of the bias spring here, it's basically just going to force the valve open and gas is going to continue to flow. In the next quick tips video in this series, we're going to look at some features that an advanced second stage has that helps prevent free flows. The second problem that some people encounter with the second stage is what we call wet breathing, where it feels like, yeah, it's still supplying you gas and you can breathe from it, but you're getting some water into your mouth when you inhale. That can be due to a number of different problems. Number one would be a loose connection somewhere, that there's actually water entering the second stage chamber, but more often than not, it's a tear in one of these diaphragms. So if you get a little tiny pinprick of a hole or a nick somewhere in the corner and it doesn't quite make a nice seal, then you're going to get water in small amounts, and every time you breathe in, you're going to get a wet breath. So that again is a service issue. These diaphragms are wear and tear, so when you get your regulator serviced, they can be easily replaced. Or if it's not a tear in the diaphragm, it could just be some debris. Something got in there, got underneath, and is just lifting up the diaphragm slightly, particularly the exhaust diaphragm there that isn't covered too well, because you've got the exhaust holes on both sides, and that can cause a wet breath. So check your exhaust diaphragm, and if not, get your second stage serviced. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, a glossary of terms about the second stage regulator. I make these videos with one simple goal in mind, and that's to give you guys knowledge that you can take with you on your next purchase mission. So you're more well informed to make decisions that are going to help you select gear that is right for the type of diving that you do. If you enjoy these videos, give it the old thumbs up, let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys, and I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. And until next time, my name's James. This was your Divers Ready Quick Tips video for this week from Divers Ready. Dive safe, dive often.